There comes a point in the life of a chosen one when what once felt like a blessing slowly begins to feel like a boundary. The job that once answered prayers, the position that once felt like proof that God was providing, starts to feel heavy. Not because it is bad. Not because it is sinful. But because it has served its season. Comfort becomes familiar. Familiar becomes routine. Routine becomes restriction. And restriction becomes a cage disguised as stability. You may still be performing well. You may still be receiving compliments, promotions, and steady income. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. But inside, something has shifted. You wake up with a subtle resistance. You sit at your desk and feel disconnected. You complete tasks, yet your spirit feels absent. It's as if your body is present, but your calling has already left the room. Comfort is dangerous when you are called to expansion. A cage does not always look like suffering. Sometimes it looks like safety. A predictable paycheck. A clear job description. A title that sounds respectable. But if that comfort begins to suffocate your growth, it is no longer provision, it is limitation. What once protected you is now preventing you from stepping into something greater. God often blesses you with stability before He stretches you into purpose. The job was necessary. It trained you. It disciplined you. It exposed you to skills, people, and lessons you would not have gained otherwise. It built your character. It strengthened your patience. It showed you what leadership looks like, what mismanagement looks like, what integrity looks like. It was preparation. But preparation is not the destination. When you are chosen, stagnation feels unbearable. You can feel it in small ways at first. Conversations at work start to feel shallow. Projects that once excited you now feel repetitive. You start imagining something bigger, something more aligned with your gifts. Ideas come to you during breaks. Visions interrupt your routine. You feel a pull towards something you cannot fully explain to others. People around you may say, "You're lucky to have this job." They may remind you of the benefits, the security, the reputation. And they are not wrong. From a practical perspective, it makes sense to stay. But calling is not always logical. Calling disrupts logic. It demands faith over familiarity. It asks you to leave what is known for what is promised. The cage is subtle. It does not lock you in with fear, it holds you with comfort. It whispers, "Stay here. It's safe." But your spirit whispers something louder, "There's more." That tension is the sign. If you were meant to stay forever, you would feel settled. Instead, you feel stirred. You feel stretched even while sitting still. Sometimes the cage is financial security. You are afraid to let go because you do not know how the next chapter will provide for you. Sometimes the cage is identity. You have attached your worth to your title, your role, your position. Without it, who are you? Sometimes the cage is approval. Family and friends are proud of where you work. Walking away feels like disappointing them. But a chosen one cannot live for approval. You cannot build your destiny on other people's comfort. If God is shifting you, staying will eventually cost more than leaving. The frustration will increase. The dissatisfaction will grow. The inner voice will become impossible to ignore. Comfort becomes a cage when growth demands movement. You were not created to remain where you have already mastered the lessons. You were created to evolve. When you stop evolving, your environment starts to feel tight. It's not that the job changed. You changed. You outgrew the space. Outgrowing something does not mean dishonoring it. You can be grateful and still move on. You can appreciate the season and still acknowledge that it has ended. Just because something was right for you once does not mean it is right forever. God's assignments come in chapters. When one chapter closes, it does not erase its importance. It simply means the story is progressing. The cage feels most obvious when your creativity feels blocked. You have ideas that do not fit within your current role. You have passions that cannot be expressed in your current environment. You feel called to build, to create, to speak, to serve in ways that your job cannot contain. That tension is not random. It is revelation. Chosen ones are not wired for lifelong confinement to places that were only meant to train them. You were built to pioneer, to lead, to shift atmospheres. If you stay in comfort too long, you will begin to feel spiritually restless. That restlessness is not ingratitude. It is divine agitation. It is God nudging you beyond what feels safe. The cage often becomes visible when you imagine leaving and feel both fear and relief at the same time. Fear because of uncertainty. Relief because deep down you know you are meant for more. That mixture is powerful. It signals that your spirit recognizes freedom even if your mind resists it. Comfort will always try to convince you that growth can wait. But purpose does not wait forever. Delayed obedience turns into prolonged frustration. When God is calling you higher, remaining in the same place becomes exhausting. You start to feel drained by things that once energized you. You start questioning why you feel this way when everything seems fine on paper. That is the nature of a cage disguised as a blessing. It looks good. It sounds responsible. It makes sense to everyone else. But to the chosen one, it feels smaller and smaller with each passing day. And the more you ignore the shift, the louder the discomfort becomes. Obedience over security is a principle that every chosen one encounters at some point, though it often comes wrapped in fear and uncertainty. The world teaches you to prioritize stability, to cling to what is known, to measure success in paychecks, benefits, and titles. Yet God's ways operate on a different frequency. What feels safe may not be what is aligned with your purpose. When God calls you to step out, it is not reckless, it is radical trust. It is placing faith above the predictable, conviction above comfort, and divine direction above worldly logic. Many people cannot understand why a person would leave a secure job, a steady income, or a respected position. They see it as risk, perhaps even foolishness. But for the chosen ones, obedience is never about risk in the worldly sense. It is about recognizing that God's plan for your life transcends what the human eye can measure. He calls you to a higher standard, one that may seem illogical or impractical from the outside, but perfectly aligned with your soul. Security is an illusion when it keeps you from your calling. You may feel financially comfortable, socially recognized, or professionally validated, but if your spirit feels confined, you are already in a prison of your own making. True security comes from alignment with God, not from the structures of man. The paycheck cannot provide fulfillment, and the title cannot deliver purpose. They are temporary markers, not eternal truths. The challenge is fear. Fear is what keeps many chained to positions that no longer serve them. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. When God commands a shift, fear is natural, but it is also a signal that faith is required. Every step taken in obedience requires leaving something behind. That something may be tangible, like a job or a location, or intangible, like reputation, approval, or comfort. The higher the calling, the greater the surrender. Obedience over security demands discernment. It is not about impulsive decisions or reckless abandon. It is about listening intently to the voice of God, separating His guidance from the noise of anxiety, and responding with courage. It is learning to trust that God's provision is not limited to the familiar, that His favor is not tied to your current circumstances, and that His timing is perfect even when your mind struggles to comprehend it. You may have questions: how will bills be paid? How will responsibilities be met? How will the future unfold? These questions are valid, but they are not meant to paralyze you. They are meant to drive you to deeper reliance on God. Obedience does not remove responsibility, it redirects it. It teaches you to rely on divine provision rather than human safety nets. It shifts your focus from what you have to what you are being called to become. Trusting God over security also means breaking generational patterns of playing it safe. Many chosen ones are the first in their families to feel the pull towards something extraordinary. To obey may seem radical because it challenges the norms, the expectations, and the comfort zones that others rely on. This is part of the refinement process. God often calls you to move where no one else can follow immediately, creating a space for your unique assignment to emerge fully. Faith is tested when leaving a secure position. The enemy often amplifies doubt, planting seeds of anxiety about bills, stability, and social perception. This is why obedience is a spiritual act as much as a practical one. It requires trusting unseen provision, believing in promises not yet fulfilled, and stepping into uncertainty with confidence in God's guidance. Each small act of obedience strengthens your faith and prepares you for the greater responsibilities that lie ahead. Obedience over security also reshapes identity. Many chosen ones tie their sense of worth to their roles or the approval of others. Leaving a stable job challenges this identity, forcing you to realize that your value is inherent, not situational. Your identity is not defined by your title, paycheck, or external validation. It is defined by your calling, your gifts, and your alignment with divine purpose. Learning this lesson is essential for stepping fully into your only job, your true assignment. The shift may feel lonely at first. Friends, colleagues, and even family may struggle to understand your decision. Some may question your judgment, criticize your choices, or even try to dissuade you. But obedience often requires standing alone, trusting God more than human opinion. The isolation is temporary, and it is a refining process that strengthens your resolve, clarifies your vision, and deepens your reliance on God. Obedience over security is a daily practice. It is not a one-time leap but a consistent choice to honor God's direction above worldly expectations. Each decision, each small act of faith, compounds over time, building spiritual resilience and aligning you with opportunities that cannot exist within the confines of a secure but stagnant life. The more you choose faith over fear, purpose over comfort, the more visible God's plan becomes. Ultimately, trusting God beyond the paycheck is about surrendering control. You relinquish the illusion of self-sufficiency and acknowledge that your life's direction is in divine hands. You release attachment to the familiar, embracing the unknown with confidence that God's wisdom is far greater than human reasoning. Every step taken in obedience, even when it defies logic, confirms that your security is found not in circumstances, but in His promise to never leave or forsake you. Obedience transforms fear into faith. It turns uncertainty into expectancy. It takes the invisible pull you feel in your spirit and gives it tangible momentum. What looks like a risk to the world becomes an act of alignment to God. You begin to see doors open that had been closed, connections form that had seemed impossible, and opportunities appear that could only be orchestrated by divine hand. This principle, obedience over security, is not theoretical. It is practical, spiritual, and urgent for every chosen one who senses God calling them out of what is comfortable and into what is consequential. It teaches that the true measure of success is not how safe you feel, but how faithfully you follow God's guidance, how courageously you leave the known behind, and how boldly you embrace the work He has assigned you, even when it cannot be measured by human standards. Faithful obedience redefines provision, security, and purpose. It proves that God's plans are not constrained by the familiar and that stepping into the unknown with His direction is safer than remaining in the comfortable without His alignment. The only way to fully experience your calling is to place obedience above security, trusting that God's wisdom surpasses your understanding and that your only job now is to follow His voice with unwavering faith. Your true assignment is not always obvious at first. Often, it begins as a quiet whisper in your soul, a nudge that grows louder over time until it can no longer be ignored. The chosen ones feel this pull in ways that are subtle yet undeniable. It is not tied to a job description, a title, or a paycheck. It is tied to purpose, calling, and destiny. When God speaks, This is your only job now. It is not a suggestion or a metaphor, it is a directive to align every action, thought, and intention with the mission He has placed in your life. Many people confuse their current responsibilities with their calling. They assume that working hard in a conventional role fulfills the plan God has for them. Yet the chosen ones quickly discover that their true assignment cannot be contained within structures designed for survival rather than destiny. The routine tasks, the repetitive cycles, the predictable outcomes, all of these may provide stability, but they cannot satisfy the soul that has been ignited by purpose. Your only real job is to step fully into that fire, to pursue what you were uniquely created to accomplish, and to release anything that distracts or detains you from it. Recognizing your true assignment requires discernment. It is a spiritual awareness, a sensitivity to divine guidance that the world often cannot see or understand. The chosen ones feel this awareness in ways that manifest as restlessness, a sense of urgency, or a deep inner knowing that the familiar is no longer sufficient. You may experience sudden clarity about your gifts, visions for the future, or unshakable confirmation that certain doors are opening while others are closing. This is God signaling that your only job now is not what you have been doing, but what you are being called to do. Stepping into your assignment requires courage. It often demands leaving behind comfort, approval, and certainty. The fear that arises is not a deterrent, it is evidence that you are on the edge of breakthrough. Every chosen one faces the tension between the familiar and the extraordinary. The familiar offers safety, predictability, and validation from others. The extraordinary requires faith, surrender, and unwavering commitment to what God has revealed. The courage to embrace your true assignment is built by repeatedly choosing divine direction over human reasoning. Your assignment may not look like conventional success. It may not come with immediate recognition, financial stability, or societal approval. Yet the fulfillment it brings cannot be measured by external standards. The chosen ones are often called to paths that seem unconventional, paths that challenge the norms and defy logic. This is because God's work rarely fits neatly into systems created by humans. Your impact is not determined by titles or positions but by the alignment of your life with divine purpose and the influence you exert on the world around you. Preparation is a critical component of stepping into your true assignment. Every experience, challenge, and season of training is designed to equip you for what lies ahead. The jobs you have held, the people you have encountered, and the obstacles you have faced were not random. They were preparation for a higher calling. When God says, "This is your only job now," He is activating a season of focus, clarity, and intentionality. The distractions that once consumed your energy are being removed so that your life can be fully devoted to your purpose. Obedience is the key to fully realizing your assignment. It is not enough to recognize your calling, you must act upon it. Action transforms vision into reality. Every choice to prioritize God's instructions over personal preference, every step taken despite fear, and every moment of faithfulness compounds into the fulfillment of your destiny. The chosen ones understand that delay in obedience delays the manifestation of their assignment. Hesitation, indecision, and compromise dilute the impact of your calling. Your only job now is to move decisively and consistently toward the work God has prepared for you. Faith and alignment are inseparable from your assignment. The chosen ones operate in a space where spiritual discernment guides practical decisions. You cannot achieve your true purpose by relying solely on human wisdom or conventional methods. Divine insight, prayer, and listening to the inner promptings of the Spirit are essential for navigating the path ahead. Each decision, whether large or small, should be filtered through this lens of alignment, ensuring that your actions are consistent with God's overarching plan for your life. Impact is an inherent part of your true assignment. Your work is never solely about personal gain or comfort. The chosen ones are called to influence, inspire, and transform. Your gifts, skills, and experiences are designed to intersect with the lives of others in meaningful ways. When you embrace your assignment fully, you become a conduit for divine influence. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open. Connections that appear coincidental are revealed as divinely orchestrated. Your obedience amplifies not only your own life but also the lives of those around you. Clarity emerges when distractions are removed. God often calls you to let go of roles, responsibilities, or relationships that no longer serve the purpose of your assignment. This can be uncomfortable, especially when these elements provide comfort or security. Yet letting go is necessary to make space for what is essential. The chosen ones learn to distinguish between what is supportive and what is obstructive, recognizing that alignment requires intentional focus. The clearer you become about your purpose, the more effectively you can execute your assignment without compromise or hesitation. Persistence is another crucial aspect of embracing your true assignment. Even when challenges arise, even when results are slow to manifest, remaining steadfast in obedience ensures that you continue moving forward in your calling. The chosen ones understand that timing is divine. Progress may not always be visible, but every step taken in faith contributes to the fulfillment of your mission. Patience coupled with consistent action demonstrates your commitment and prepares you for the higher levels of responsibility and influence that God intends for your life. Your true assignment is ultimately about alignment with God's will. It is about living intentionally, acting faithfully, and prioritizing purpose above comfort. When God commands, "This is your only job now," it is a call to focus every resource, talent, and energy on fulfilling the work He has designed uniquely for you. The distractions, doubts, and fears that once occupied your mind begin to dissipate as you commit fully to your calling, allowing you to operate with clarity, authority, and divine support. Understanding your assignment also requires discernment in relationships, opportunities, and environments. Not everything labeled as success aligns with your purpose. The chosen ones learn to evaluate circumstances through the lens of their calling, distinguishing between what nurtures growth and what diverts attention. Each choice becomes an exercise in prioritizing alignment, ensuring that time, energy, and resources are invested where they can yield the greatest impact. Stepping into your true assignment transforms identity. You no longer define yourself by past roles, external validation, or societal expectations. Your identity is now rooted in purpose, calling, and alignment with God. This transformation empowers you to operate confidently, free from comparison and fully equipped to fulfill the unique mission entrusted to you. The clarity, focus, and authority that come from embracing your assignment prepare you to influence, lead, and impact in ways that could not have been possible while confined by conventional expectations. The work of your true assignment is not optional, it is essential. The chosen ones recognize that obedience is the pathway to fulfillment and that distraction, compromise, or delay diminishes the potential of what God intends to accomplish through them. Every decision, every action, every moment of faithfulness is an investment into the legacy of your life, aligning with a divine purpose that extends beyond personal ambition and immediate circumstances. Faithfulness to your assignment cultivates influence, growth, and transformation. When you embrace the directive that your only job now is the work God has called you to do, you begin to experience alignment that reshapes your life, elevates your impact, and confirms your identity as a chosen one. The focus, dedication, and obedience required to pursue this assignment fully ensure that your life becomes a living testament to God's purpose, demonstrating that when you prioritize divine calling over worldly expectations, extraordinary results manifest in alignment with His plan.